Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome. Hopefully you guys can hear me here. Let's see. Check on all this. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Hey, welcome you guys. So Eugene had a conflict after all, and he wasn't able to do tonight, but I decided to show up anyways just to cover this great song with you guys. So hopefully you guys can put up with me for a night. Great to see you all out there. Eric, Jim, great to see you. Connie, glad you're here. So this is one of those songs, Classical Gas. It's one of those songs that really made me want to play guitar. I don't know about you guys, but when I heard this song for the first time, and maybe you're coming to this and you've never heard it before, it's absolutely intriguing. It's just such a unique song. Hey, Tom. Hey, Greg. Great to see you. And so I want to break down a little bit of this song with you guys today, and then kind of decide, what questions you guys may have about it, and the parts of it that are the most interesting to me, and we'll see where things go. It should be a fun time. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Eric. Good stuff. So what's cool about this song is it kind of takes you through an entire classical composition in a very sort of operatic beat way, right? So concept of operatic beat is basically the idea that an opera has something called an overture at the beginning, where the themes that are presented in the opera are shown to you. And so you see these later on when people come in. If you think of like the Beauty and the Beast, where somebody comes in and there's an evil theme, or Spaceballs. In Spaceballs, they're called leitmotifs. When somebody comes in and there's a princess or a thief or a bad guy or whatnot. So the overture of this song is this intro portion, which is the... So it's like, hey, this is what's coming up. We're going to do something called augmentation, diminution, and we're showing you the parts of the song that we're going to play with at the beginning here. Hey, Bruce, great to see you. Absolutely, yeah. Oh, you could definitely play this song. This is not, it's one of those songs that sounds harder than it is. It's certainly doable though. So here's something that's really cool that happens right out of the gate. And what you guys will see in the song is that anticipation and building anticipation with eighth notes is really what's done throughout the entire song to move the music along. So right after that intro where we hear all the themes, we have... So this is still in 4/4, and it's 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So it's really cool. It's metric variation. So in 4/4 you have eight notes, right? So you have 2 eighth notes per quarter note, and you can divide these eighth notes up in all kinds of different ways. But in this particular way, the emphasis is on 2 3 3 3. So if it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It creates this illusion of being in a different meter when in fact you're in the same meter with different emphasis than you normally hear on 4/4. Normally on 4/4 you hear like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if it's like soul and R&B, you might hear 1, 2, 4, da, da, or Latin music as well. But in this case, this is more of like a reverse clave, or it's really just sort of an interesting way to divide that up. And then we're off into the song. And the main theme of the song is what grabbed me, and it's probably what grabs most of you. I'll try not to hit this over and over again. It's probably what grabs most of you when you hear this song. So just that theme alone to me is it's simple, but it's intriguing. And it's something that, you know, a very young Dylan thoroughly enjoyed. So hopefully you guys dig it too. It's not an impossible thing to do, by the way. Quick side note on this, you know, the original title for this piece was Classical Gasoline, and Mason Williams, who I believe is still alive, there's a great interview with Mason Williams from a few years back where he talks a lot about this piece. The copyists, back then, you know, they had hand copyists. This is pre-ChatGPT, obviously. I don't have to tell everybody here. But the copyists didn't want to write gasoline over and over again, so it became classical gas, which, you know, I think it works better. And apparently a lot of people thought that the gas term meant like the 20s, you know, it's a gas man, hey man. That was Sammy Davis Jr. doing the 20s. If Eugene was here, I would be able to play. Okay, you get the point. Can you guys play against me here? Eugene would be like, all right, we need to get back on topic. So you guys just remind me every now and then. So anyways, apparently a lot of people thought the gas meant it's a gas, like the 20s, it's a gas, when in fact it was an abbreviation of gasoline. So when you hear this main theme, it's what's extended throughout the entire song, but connected by this circle of fifths patterns. And by circle of fifths, it just means it's rifling through keys that are a fifth away. And this is one of the really like moving part of the song. So we hear the theme the first time. So this pattern right here, that's when we have a metric modulation to 6/8. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. And that's a really cool modulation and a way to get us to a new key, which is the same key. It's just a new register in the same key, actually. So a lot of people will play this song and they won't necessarily fully appreciate that sort of change in time signature needs to be recognized in an orchestral way, in a way that sort of denotes where all those beats are at, so that it really does impact the listener the same way. Oh, good. You guys are already keeping me on track. Yeah, because Eugene always stays on topic and never has tangent stories. Yes, I'm going to use that in court. I was hoping gas meant gear acquisition syndrome. You know, Jim, it very well could. For all we know, this man had trouble purchasing one classical guitar instead of multiples. And thank you, Jim. He perfectly intimated Eugene's Frenchman's hand wave. So we've got the theme. Okay, so when we have this higher register theme, doesn't that just sound like a lot of strings to you guys? It sounds like a string pattern to me. the majority of the song sounds like a string pattern to me. Like you're almost like something you would hear during a dramatic scene on a television show or whatnot. And oddly enough, Mason Williams had an entire television show that was about this song, and not just about the song. I think it had guests come on and other things, but this song was so popular, apparently, when it came out that, they were like, well, damn it, we need a TV show for this thing. And, I don't know if it's all well known today, but it's one of those melodies that I think people recognize pretty quickly. Eric says, how much did you have to practice to remember the whole song for this week? You know what? It's not fair because I've been playing it since I was a kid. So I think I had a solid 30-year run at it first. So actually, I did have to practice maybe for 10 minutes before we started today, though. And Jim says, damn it, now I need a classical guitar. Absolutely. Everybody should have a nylon string guitar. Right? So why do you need a nylon string guitar? What's so cool about a nylon string guitar? I'm glad you asked, Eugene, who's not here. Everybody complicates this whole Pima thing, and Caged and everything else is turned into like this academic discussion. It's pretty simple. These three fingers go on the top three strings, and then this one goes on the bass strings. That's the basic concept, you guys. I mean, we can make it more complicated, and many people will, but the reality is that's what it really is. But doing this on a nylon string guitar gives you a completely different tone than it does on a steel string guitar. And obviously, nylon string guitars originated as gut strings on lutes, and early guitars during the 1800s were still using gut strings and synthetics eventually. But yeah. It's the 1800s, So that tone, though, that tone is something that's it's really hard to mimic. I think it's AI proof. So there's an angle. If you guys are looking for angles on AI. I think AI is going to have trouble really doing, probably not. We're screwed. But this is where Eugene would pull me back in, you guys. I'm a little disappointed, but your comments are lagged, so hopefully you'll catch up. But yeah, nylon string guitar has such a tradition. A really cool story about nylon string guitar. The famous violinist Paganini, who you guys may be familiar with, the Caprice 24. There's a ton of amazing violin concertos and pieces by Paganini. Truly one of the most virtuosic players in history, and inspired people like Yngwie Malmsteen and others. Thank you, Bruce. Thanks so much, you guys. I appreciate it. And everybody, got sick back then and died young. So this should help you guys feel better about anything that's going on. Thank you, Eric. This should help you guys feel better about whatever's going on in your life. The richest person in the 1800s, right? The richest one, the richest person. Let's say the kings and queens of the 1800s. They still had to go outside to go pee, and they didn't have, they died from syphilis or something. Yeah, so it's like, your life now is still objectively better than the wealthiest person in the 1850s. So anyways, Paganini got so sick that all he could do was play guitar from his bed. He couldn't play violin anymore. And, Paganini, oddly enough, this violin player is one of the people that's really responsible for bringing classical guitar to the forefront, because he had so much popularity in some of his other pieces. And there's many cases like that. Classical guitar obviously was a Spanish Latin instrument. It's something that's classical gas really brought the classical guitar into the sort of Americana sphere in a way that had a little bit of Latin influence in it. And that's what we just heard right here. Like, for instance, this 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're starting to spell out some like clave patterns, but in a very American way. And then also some orchestral and highbrow musical ideas that Mason Williams had learned, I believe, at Mississippi Conservatory that he went to. So it's a really interesting story about a piece of, a single piece of music can have such an influence. And I think that inclination that Jim had, it's like, how many people went out and bought classical guitars because they heard classical gas? My guess would be there was a boom in the classical guitar world. I'm going to raise this just a hair. So if we hear the next period, this is the bridge of the piece, if you will. We come out of this 6/8 portion. So this is in the higher register, and that's why I think he probably used that cycle of fourths, was to move up to the higher register. Okay, now we are moving to a totally unrelated key, to D flat. And if you do it sensitively, no one will know. Hope you're doing okay, Marilee. This is where you put the drama on. So we have a bridge, then we have, where's Eugene's part, right? So when, I think Eugene should come over the top and go, doodly-doo-da, doo-doo-da, booba-dooba-dooba-dooba-dooba. I think that would be cool. So we have a bridge, and we go back to the main theme in a very triumphant way, and then we finally get this, the same pattern of cycle of fifths before we end out the piece. And, it's such a unique piece of music because it really lends itself well to orchestration. It's not that it's particularly hard, you guys. In comparison to a lot of classical guitar repertoire, this is not a hard piece at all. I think making anything sound really good can be hard, but in terms of just its overall difficulty, it's not necessarily... Oh, I'm way behind. Tom says, I have a 70s Ovation Nylon. Great sounds. You know what? Hey, a lot of people did the Nylon 70s Ovation and did very well. I can think of this guy. So, you may have heard of him, Neil Diamond. No. Yeah, so a lot of people, that was a hot guitar. They also record quite well. Marilee, great to see you. Yeah, Eric, hey, you know what I'll do is I'll upload I have like a tab for the music that I have from years ago that has all this in there. I'll put it on the Patreon. Then the horns. Yeah, so what's really cool is the horns come in towards the bridge of the section of the song, and then they stay here for the remainder of the song. I played it in a way that was sort of a single guitar approach, but they really were. Yeah, Eric, they really were going all at it. So this is one of those songs that I think is, everybody has a song that makes them want to play, whether it be guitar or another instrument. Like it pulls you in, it draws you in, and not only do you realize, okay, this draws me in, a lot of other people like it, and that's always cool because that means you're going to get, affirmations, or you're going to get validations if you can play it well, and other people will recognize it. It's a good thing to pick something other people will recognize because validation early on is really important to make you want to continue doing something. But one of the greatest takeaways I want you guys to get from this is these modulations in the time signatures are really quite incredible. And then you also have the themes that are shown up front. That's right. I don't know if they were nylon strings either, Jim. That's a good point. I think they were all probably steel string. So who was that? Tom. Sorry about that. It really is an outlier. No, they might have been nylon. Who knows? So when you hear the beginning of this song, that is a diminuted or like a smaller version of the theme that's coming up later on, and then it's going to move on. So when you guys hear music that you love from the 60s, 70s, not so much 80s, because we started to move more into song blocks, especially I think we have Mutt Lange to thank for that, and Desmond Child and other folks. But you would hear a lot of the themes that you were going to hear later on in the song. Christmas songs are a great example. Even the newer poppier Christmas songs will have themes that you hear later on in the song, in the intro to the song, and that's the overture portion. And I think that's a really great way to think about your writing. It's like everybody has some fragmented ideas that they're not sure how to weave them together, and sometimes you write them down at the top of the page, and then you incorporate them into your writing later on, and maybe you throw some away. Well, that's sort of what this overture concept is. And I think in operatic form, the concept of the overture was this idea that you would play themes so that people had familiarity with them while they were sitting down. So imagine we're aristocrats, and the Roman Imperial Guard lets us into the Colosseum, and we all sit down, and we're just waiting for, we just want to watch two people fight to the death. But instead, we're at an opera. Fast forward to the, 1700s. I was in the wrong era. This is why Eugene needs to be here. And then basically we would sit down, and I got lost with that damn Roman thing, Now I started envisioning the Colosseum and the Roman Guard and the fighting to death, and that just was not on point at all. We sit down and we're at the opera, and while we're sitting down, the orchestra is playing all these themes, and that's the overture to all the themes that are going to be in the opera later on. And psychosomatically, we are getting accustomed to these themes, or through like orchestra psyops, if you will. Let that sink in. So this song, maybe doesn't quite have orchestra psyops, and maybe we should cut this portion of this thing out, because this doesn't, maybe that's not totally legit. Cut. And then start right here. Okay, good. So yeah, do you guys have any questions about any of this at all? I'm curious to see what you guys think about this piece. I think this piece is truly probably one of my absolute favorites. Eugene, and by the way, I feel like we need one of those political fact check counters just on Eugene's stuff, but the problem is I think it's probably all accurate. Smack! Back to classical gas. So let's take a look at this bridge section, because it's really quite unique. If this is not a neck break, I don't know what it is, you guys. So we come in with good. Now we're going to the bridge. Fermata. So hold it out as long as you want. D flat. Totally unrelated key. So we went from D flat to E, and that relationship is a minor third relationship, which is how diminished chords usually move, and it's a popular way to move chords in 20th century postmodern music, where you have these are keys that are symmetrically related. They are not related by any sort of diatonic relationship, but you end up, if you keep moving in minor thirds, you end up at your starting point. And that's probably one of the reasons that it became so popular to modulate using minor thirds. The Tommy Emmanuel version is fantastic, and it's really, if anything, it's kind of a play. I think Tommy Emmanuel would probably say this. It's sort of a play on classical gas, just like his other songs. But it's also acknowledged by Mason Williams as, truly, obviously Tommy Emmanuel's, it helps when you're, I should have been taller, but obviously Tommy Emmanuel's just, a lifetime achievement player, really is. And that's such a unique version. So if you guys haven't heard that, check that out for sure. So sorry, going back to this. So you have D flat to F sharp. So that's like 1-4. Then we go to the key of E to A. That's just 1-4 again. This unto itself is there's nothing really happening here, right? It's more that we changed keys quite quickly that keeps you engaged as a listener. This is basically what we would call like a transition section and then a recapitulation of the theme. And recapitulation is one of those highly overly academic terms that's used when the theme is reintroduced into a sonata or other pieces of music. So if you guys really want to sound academic when you go somewhere, just say recapitulation a lot, right? And this is where we get the same cycling of chords, but in 4/4 this time. Sorry. So let's take a look at that. You have A, G, A minor, B, C, F, D, G. So it's a really consistent cycle. Right? So if we look at the relationships, if you go from A to G, that's a second back. But from there you have A, G, C, F, D. We start cycling through fourths or fifths, depending upon which direction you're thinking about. So it's just a really unique piece in that sense, and that's a way to build a ton of energy, is that cycling. Thanks, Marilee. See, Marilee's supportive. Now, if Eugene was here right now, I think we'd probably talk about some sort of aspect of Mason Williams's life, maybe, or session players that were involved in this. I know there was a famous arranger that was on the strings on this song, and also Eugene wanted me to mention someone who played drums on the recording, and I forgot their name. I'll have to cut that part in right here. But then we have the recapitulation. Thank you, Marilee. Pinky's up. And then we have so if we look at that kind of final section there, sorry, A minor, D, G, C, F, B flat. So look at the relationships in those. A to D, then G to C, then F to B flat. So that's going... It's just fifths dropping down by a whole step. So there's nothing that's all that radically complicated in here, but the way that it lands on guitar makes it sound really unique, because guitar players we don't usually run around and do a bunch of different keys. All right, let me get caught up here. So Eric says, when he's on tour and met, there was just fill in the dots, right? One time when I was in Gillette, Wyoming, I met, I don't know, put a name there. Jim says, you got to drop at least one name. Yeah. Crap. Okay. Shit. I'm going to call on Rex, my dog, and then his friend, who also lives in the neighborhood, Millie. Both of them seem to like this song. Millie was over today. Thoroughly enjoyed this song. That's it. That's my name drop right there. Marilee says, right, Eric. I remember that Lisa plays classical gas when they're picking outside of a nuclear power plant. Well, see, there you go. You know what I mean? So, it's everywhere. It really is. It's everywhere. Recapitulating everywhere, Marilee. So that's one of them their court words right there. Recapitulation. See if you don't win the case. No, but this is it's a really great song to learn. And I got to be honest with you guys. I think when I was, I don't know, 13 or something maybe, I was not ready to play this song stylistically, technique-wise. I had no concept of anything we're talking about, nor was any of that necessary, nor is it necessary now for you to know any of that. It's interesting, right? But I just wanted to learn it, and so I did, and probably did a bunch of stuff wrong that I had to go back and correct. But I think it says something, even if you make the attempt and make a ton of mistakes and have to go back and fix, bad habits or whatever, is it ideal? No. Was the ideal ever on the menu? Probably not. Probably not. But what was always on the menu was never trying at all. And I think that's where most people end up is just in the fear of failure category. So running out a song like this might seem really difficult to you. Thank you, Marilee. Thank you. Running out a song like this might seem really difficult to you, but it's one of those things where, sometimes running at the bullet is better than running from it. We're going to cut that out. I got to use a better one. No, I think that it's something you just go after because you're attracted to it. And that might be the case with any song that you guys are super into, or any sort of, if there's just been, melodies or ideas that you've heard, and you're like, man, I got to know that. I really got to know that. And one of the things that was always difficult for me when putting together a curriculum for beginners was beginners oftentimes are most motivated by stuff they can't even really do at all. And yet they find the motivation, and it's sloppy and it's messy, and they may never get that one right, but they get so much along the way that it's worthwhile. So I would encourage you guys to look into music that you've always wanted to play. For me, it was at 14 or something. I heard this probably on a Nokia cell phone ring, I'm sure. And I thought, I got to know how to play this darn song. And did it wrong. And probably the gasoline term could have been reapplied to the name. And yet here we are, There you go, Eric. That's a great piece of advice, And with like this, if you guys are into a tune like this, I really think starting with just the theme, just the... just that theme itself could be really interesting. And for a lot of folks that need help working on Pima, I wouldn't make it too complicated. I would just work on being able to use these three fingers on these three strings and move your bass finger around. But you want to make it so that you snap back and forth between these. See? Can you guys see this? So I'm basically stopping the sound. I'm putting it right back down after I play. And that's how you get a bunch of control later on. It would be the same thing here. I would have to just... and turn it into this really, really metric exercise. The same thing with flamenco or any of these exercises. So, Mood for a Day is a great one. Tom, yes. Oh, I love that. Good call. We should do Mood for a Day and Spanish Fly on here. That'd be awesome. Feel So Good is so good. I missed all these comments. Thanks, Dylan. I spent a lot of time. Okay, hold on. Let me go back up. Marilee says, just to recapitulate, yes, I have a fear of classical gas. It's a reasonable fear, Marilee. It's a reasonable fear. Jim says, thanks, Dylan. I spent a lot of time chasing melodies that are out of my reach and I thought I was just wasting my time. No, I don't think so. I think it's hard to garner that enthusiasm and singleness of purpose that a teenager has, though. And so, like, the challenge for us is not so much going after stuff, it's getting back into that teenager mind and keeping it on guitars at the moment. And then going after something kind of wholeheartedly and not worrying about everything else that's happening. That's sort of what the challenge is. And it's my challenge, it's everybody's challenge. Eric says the bar phones that played the Snake in the background. Yes, Eric. Yeah. Does everybody remember the it wasn't 90s. I didn't get a phone till 2000 something, but still. So it wasn't from a Nokia phone because I was 12 in the 90s. Bar phones. Yeah, feels so good to be great. Mood for a day. Story of my life. Wow. The story of my life would be great. Oh, the story of my guitar life. Merrily, I just reread that. See, Eugene would correct me on that too. He would say, hey, that says the story of my guitar life. So sorry about that. I knew the first few bars of Lost. Yeah, but you know what? I mean, that's... okay, so here's a famous one. A Buddhist monk is walking with his pupil, and he says to the pupil, the pupil says to him, I can't hear. What do I do? I'm not ready. I don't know what's going on. It with all that kind of in mind, knowing those tiny little pieces of songs or not having the order to what you're doing in mind, the monk says, enter from here, basically, like enter from wherever you're at. And if you've only got little tiny chunks of songs, that's good enough. And you just enter from there. I think one of the worst things we can do to ourselves is kind of like take what is an effort and turn it into something that's not good enough. Because it's like, well, maybe it's not good enough for somebody else's life, but it's good enough for your life in the sense that it's better than nothing. Better than nothing. And who knows what it's going to be next. John says, Chan by Buena Vista Social Club. Yes, you should go. Hey, you guys, don't even get me started on how all these ended up. I mean, I was just watching television shows and wanted to learn how to play everything on guitar, pretty much. Richard says, I haven't often been credited for having an adult mind, so neither have I, Bruce. Yeah. I didn't know, when you were a kid, did you think you were going to feel like an adult when you were an adult? I did, and I'm just still a kid in an adult's body, I guess. Hey, you guys, that's classical gas. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean, Gene? So thank you guys so much for being here. Honestly, I really appreciate every one of you. Like me and Eugene will finish this little show of ours, and 29 people, 30 people will show up to watch this. And I always tell Eugene, it's like, imagine there's 30 people that show up for something. It doesn't mean nothing. It ain't nothing. It's something. And so we appreciate every one of you that comes and hangs out with us to do this. And I spent some hours getting ready for it, and it's worth it. I enjoy doing this, and maybe one day we'll expand upon it. But until then, if you can, join our Patreon just to help support us. And also, I'll put the tab in there. You don't have to join to get the tab, but I'll put the tab in the Patreon. And please like and subscribe. I know that supposedly helps. Whatever the important things are. So if you can like this video, I'm gonna like it right now. Let's see if everybody likes it. There we go. If you can like this video and subscribe to our channel, that'd be great. So I'll play it one more time on the way out. You guys have a great week, and I can't wait to see you guys again next time. Let's see what happens next. It should be exciting, right? Here we go. Give me a C for classical gas on your way out, guys. bridge. We'll see you guys. Take care. Have a great week.